of new job growth is welcome, but this is, by any measure, an exceptionally weak recovery, especially given the trillions of dollars thrown at the economy by the White House and the Federal Reserve. And I would always note that here we are after having spent all of that federal stimulus money, and we actually have 1.8 million fewer Americans working than before when all that money was spent. As to this month, usually a small jump in the unemployment rate signals people moving back into the workforce, which can be a good thing. But the rise in jobless claims and the jump in workers recently laid off are not signs of a healthy economy or a healthy recovery. The number of unemployed who lost their jobs recently increased by 242,000. This jump comes on the heels of large increases in initial unemployment claims, 474,000, which we've not seen at that high since last summer. Commissioner, should we be watching these statistics very carefully going forward?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. The payroll job growth is at least the last 3 months has been has accelerated. So that's a good sign. But we haven't yet seen some things that we'd like to see in a strengthening recovery.
Well, initial jobs claims, obviously, that was a big jump. We've had 4 weeks in a row of increasing jobless claims. That's not expected in a healthy recovery, and those who just lost their jobs recently is large as well. Could these data be pointing to a weakening job market? Because normally we ought to have, it ought to be going the other direction.
Right. Yeah, I would say that the number of new unemployment claims is in fact a helpful data, and that rise is a not a good signal.
Yeah. What do you think's happening here?
It's hard to say.
Because the numbers seem to be all over the map, frankly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think while focusing on 1 month's data is important, but I think if you need to sort of also look back at the trend and sort of see how the trend goes. Sometimes maybe at points like this you need to wait and see how the data looks over the next month or two to sort of see if that signaled anything.
Yeah. Well, we've been watching over the last 2 years and seeing a recovery much slower than 81 and 82. We have an estimated $2 trillion of capital sitting on the sideline. Businesses that tell us they just are reluctant to invest it in new jobs, new equipment, new structures, new buildings until they see more certainty coming out of Washington. I did notice, I always appreciate the data you gave. I did notice that there were increases in leisure and hospitality this last month, but that you attributed in your remarks, 2/3 of it were related to drinking places and food service. So is the bar industry doing better these days? And is that I'm being facetious, but there is a jump in drinking place job employment?
Yes, that was responsible for most of the growth in leisure and hospitality.
Okay. I'm teasing. I'm trying to look for we're all looking for, I think, the optimistic signs, and we see some private sector job growth that I think seems to be a good sign, but the longer term recovery, which is to get more people into the workforce, because right now we are at the the lowest number of workers participating in the economy in a quarter of a century. So even as we look at the unemployment rate, look for hopeful signs, truth is very few people are participating, or at least a lot of people are not participating in this workforce. Again, troubling signs as we go forward. So we'll continue to watch these obviously on a month-to-month, but this really is, we're seeing some disconcerting signs. I yield back.
Dr. Burgess.